the Cuyahoga County Council regular meeting of December 13th, 2011, and this is our last official meeting for 2011. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Greenspan.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Brady.
Present.
Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Schron.
Here.
Ms. Conwell. Here. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Ms. Conley.
All right, we have a quorum present, and welcome Carol Miller, the wife of Councilman Dale Miller. She's here to watch over him and make sure he gets everything done properly tonight. All right, we all rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For our moment of silence tonight, we would ask for your special thoughts and prayers directed towards Daniel Burgess. Daniel is a member of the Cuyahoga County Special Response Team for the Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office. Mr. Burgess is also a sergeant in the United States Army. In mid-November, Sergeant Burgess was proudly serving his country and while on patrol in Afghanistan was a victim of exploding IED. Sergeant Burgess suffered numerous injuries, including the loss of his lower right leg. The Cuyahoga County Sheriff's Office, along with the VFW, is hosting two benefits for Sergeant Burgess and his family. They are being held on Friday, December 16th and Sunday, December 18th at the VFW post on West 140th. There are flyers on the table over there for additional information. Please observe a moment of silence for Sergeant Burgess and his family for a quick response, and also a moment of thanks and gratitude for his service to our great nation. And Madam Clerk, is there anyone signed in for public comment related to the agenda?
Yes, Madam President. Judge Nancy First is here to speak to council.
Welcome, Judge First.
Thank you.
We don't have the red lights like they have at the Supreme Court, so. But you have 2 minutes, but.
Don't worry, there's no one who appreciates brevity more than I.
But
So
you have 2 minutes, but we'll be generous.
thank you. I won't need that much. Members of council and County Executive Ed Fitzgerald, good evening and thank you for your time. On behalf of the Court of Common Pleas General Division, I'm appearing before you once again to petition for restoration of the funding reductions which were arbitrarily based upon a temporary vacancy rate imposed by our court in 2011. We have been good stewards of public funds in an effort to assist the county in the face of the recent fiscal crisis. My amended request at our last meeting, after taking a second look at everything, was $291,000. $291,429,000 plus the fringes attached to that. Now, by law, our court request is deemed to be reasonable and necessary for operation of the court, particularly in the face of mandates imposed by recently enacted HB 86 and statewide implementation of evidence-based practices. And a second examination to ensure that our request was consistent with the needs, which is what I did the last time I came. So on the record and at my last visit with council, I spoke in detail about the effect of these legislative mandates on our court resources and operation and the far-reaching effects of our inability to timely accomplish our work. I refer to my remarks in that prior hearing. I incorporate that portion of the hearing in my petition today, in addition to our court administrator's November 28th, 11 communication with council's legislative budget advisor, Trevor McLear. Thanks for your time and consideration of all we had to say, and on behalf of the courts, happy holidays.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, Mr. Fitzgerald.
I just wanted to note, first of all, I appreciate Judge First coming down here. I had an opportunity to talk to her earlier today. There are a number of budget requests, including the court's request, that that I found to be entirely worthy of continued discussion and deliberation. And the commitment that I made to Judge First was that although it's not my anticipation that her request was going to be included in the budget this evening, that the issues are legitimate, and we have to look at those issues. And we're going to have a dialogue with her in the very near future about if the administration would be in agreement with some of those requests. Her points about some of these mandates that are coming down from the state, some of the sacrifices that have already been made by court employees are all well taken. Like a lot of other requests that I think were reasonable but not included perhaps at this point of the budget. But the budget is an evolving document. There will be additions and deletions, I would anticipate, to our spending as the year goes on. And I just wanted the council to know that I have a very good working relationship with Judge First. I respect her request, and it's my anticipation that we may be revisiting this issue at a later point as time goes on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, approval of the minutes. The minutes of the December 6, 2011 are in your packet. I assume that everyone had an opportunity to read them. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt them as circulated.
Madam President, if I may interject, I'd
Yeah.
just like to recognize that Councilwoman Simon has
All right,
entered the
all right,
meeting.
thank you. All right, is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
Second.
I moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Ms. Simon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The minutes are adopted. Mr. Fitzgerald, or did you use your 3 minutes?
Are you, that's up to you, I guess, but I don't think so. A couple things I just wanted to mention quickly. Once, I know we're gonna talk about the budget as the meeting goes on. I just want to again express my gratitude to the council about the way that the hearings worked. There were a lot of pitfalls that legislative bodies can fall into. That didn't happen. It's the first time we've ever presented a budget to you, and I think we'll get better at it, and we'll improve the process 2 years from now. But overall, I hope you agree that it I think exceeded most people's expectations about how well we would be able to function with all the fiscal pressures that we're on, or that we're under. I also just want to make a couple comments about, first of all, about an issue that's going to be on your docket later, but I just wanted to mention, and I wanted to also credit council for consistently all year advocating for an increased cooperation between Metro Health and Cuyahoga County. Those conversations really, although we started talking to Metro about being more engaged with what we do, even during the transition period, that has started to come to fruition with the agreement that you're going to have in front of you for the jail medical care. But I don't know that it would have happened if council hadn't as consistently advocated for a close partnership between the two county institutions, being our justice services and Metro Health, and the taxpayers are going to be the beneficiary of it, I believe. Also, just wanted to make a brief comment about the person that is the reason behind and the inspiration behind the red, white, and blue ribbons that we're wearing this evening. I know some of his coworkers are here in the audience also this evening, but especially at a holiday time, I think it's appropriate for us to recognize those of us who are not present because they have been called to service overseas. And Sergeant Burgess, who was very seriously injured while on active duty in Afghanistan. He's going through a rehabilitation process right now. He's down in San Antonio, Texas. He was injured by an IED and lost part of one of his legs, and he is going to go through a difficult process. But we want to make sure that we're as supportive as we possibly can of any of our employees who wear the uniform of the United States, and especially those who have been injured in the line of duty. this isn't going to end just tonight with wearing this ribbon. We're going to try to think of other ways that we can be supportive. There's going to be, I think, a number of fundraisers where we try to make sure that his family has not just our moral support, but as much material support as we can possibly give him. I know that he was recognized earlier today, but we'll continue to try to provide you information with how we can collectively try to support Sergeant Burgess and the entire Burgess family. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Chair. In accordance with Rule 6B of the County Council's rules, there are two items that have need to be added to the agenda this evening. And the first item is Resolution Number 2011-0344, which is in regards to dog license fees. And the second item is Resolution Number 2011-0345, which is an award to Wellness IQ, having to do with benefits for county employees.
All right, those will be added under item 9, consideration of resolution for first reading referral to committee. All right, item 8, consideration of a resolution for first
Madam
reading.
Chair, excuse me, please. We'll need a motion in order, a parliamentary motion in order to add those two items to the agenda.
All right, is there a motion?
I so move.
Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Simon. Was there any discussion on that?
Madam President, the one resolution is just a matter of fact, memorializing what the dog license fees are. I'm not sure it needs to go to committee if we, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory and doesn't merit a lot of discussion. It's pretty much just memorializing what's already in effect.
It has a financial impact and also some procedural questions, so I'm going to send it to committee. Be sent to the finance committee. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of adding on the two items to amending the agenda to add on items 0345 and 0344 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the items are added on. All right, now, item 8, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules. This would waive the, suspension of the rules would waive the requirement required by Rule 12A for 3 readings and referral to committee. Is there such a motion? Ms. Simon?
So moved.
Second.
I moved by Ms. Simon and second by Mr. Gallagher to suspend the rules. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the rules are suspended as to item 8. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2011-0340, a resolution amending the 2011 annual appropriation measure by providing for additional fiscal appropriations from the general fund and other funding sources, for appropriation transfers between budget accounts, and for cash transfers between budgetary funds in order to meet the budgetary needs of various county departments, offices, and agencies, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Conwell. These are our usual transfers among funds, but this particular item, there are several items where money was not expended. So these are available on the website if anyone wants to look at them. But I assume council has had an opportunity to review them. Is there any discussion, Mr. Miller? Any particular items you want to note?
Madam President and my colleagues, the two predominant items are to align workers' compensation appropriations with the actual claim costs, and also to appropriate and transfer money for the various sewer projects that are in progress. This is in the sanitary engineer's office. These are routine items, and I would encourage the council support.
And I did notice one, I believe in the clerk's budget, there was the clerk of courts, there was $200,000 for the computerization that was not used, so it'll go back into the fund, and also $397,000 for probate. Also, that isn't, it will go back into the general fund. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 9, consideration of resolutions for first reading and referral to committee. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2011-0341, a resolution authorizing a contract with Emerald Development and Economic Network Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $605,412 for the Shelter Plus Care sponsor-based rental assistance program in connection with the fiscal year 2010 Continuum of Care Homeless Assistance Grant Programs and the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act for the period August 1st, 2011 through July 31st, 2012, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2011-0342, a resolution authorizing a contract with MHS Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $600,000 for the North Point Transitional Housing for Men program for the period October 1, 2011 through March 31, 2012, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
It goes to Health and Human Services.
Resolution number 2011-0343, a resolution authorizing a contract with the Salvation Army in the amount not to exceed $527,499 for the past transitional housing project for the supportive housing program in connection with the fiscal year 2010 Continuum of Care for Homeless Assistance Grant Programs and the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act for the period November 1, 2011 through October 31, 2012, authorizing the county executive to execute the contract and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This will go to Health and Human Services. And then the two add-on items.
Resolution number 2011-0344, a resolution reaffirming and approving a reduced dog license fee for spayed and neutered dogs effective December 1st, 2011, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This will be referred to Finance Committee.
And resolution number 2011-0345, a resolution making an award on requisition number 21089 to Wellness IQ Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $1,231,000 for Vitality Wellness Services for tracking county employees participating in the county's health benefit plans for the period January 1, 2012 through December 31, 2014, authorizing the county executive to execute a contract and all other documents consistent with said award and this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
This matter will go to Human Resource Committee. All right, item 10, committee report and consideration of resolution for second reading and adoption under suspension of the rules. So this would be suspended under Rule 9D, which would waive the third reading. Ms. Simon?
I move that we suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Gallagher. Any discussion on suspending the rules? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. This matter has gone to committee and has been thoroughly discussed. So, Madam Clerk?
Resolution number 2011-0334, a resolution authorizing an assignment of leases from Cuyahoga County to Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities effective January 1, 2012, in connection with various contracts with North Coast Community Homes Incorporated for the lease purchase of various properties for use as group homes for persons with developmental disabilities, authorizing the county executive to execute the assignment of leases and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective. The contract numbers and the homes and their addresses and time periods are printed on the agenda, items 1 through 4.
Did you want to move it first?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Brady and seconded by Mr. Miller. Mr. Brady?
These properties have been leased by the Board of Developmental Disabilities for about 25 years, these 4 properties, and we are now, they are now purchasing the properties for a modest amount. We had a very long discussion, about an hour discussion, in the Joint Committee of Public Works and Health and Human Services, and it's fairly complicated, but it's a good deal, and I recommend its passage.
All right. Any other discussion? Ms. Simon?
Madam President, yes, I agree. I was one of the members of the committee that listened, and this makes prudent sense that we move forward with this.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0335.
Resolution number 2011-0335, a resolution authorizing an amendment to a Brownfields revolving loan sub-grant award to City of Cleveland for an asbestos abatement project located at 5701 Carnegie Avenue, Cleveland, in connection with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund Program, to add the time period October 1, 2009 through September 30, 2012, and for additional funds in the amount of $674,835.47. Authorizing the county executive to execute the amendment and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Schron and seconded by Mr., was Ms. Conwell?
Greenspan.
Okay. Greenspan, I'm sorry. Mr. Schron.
The advantage of this program is going to be renovating one of our former industrial sites, and it's going to be exciting to take it back into a full production site as it gets cleaned up, asbestos removed, and moving forward. So it's at the crossroads where once stood Warner and Swayze, one of our cornerstones of our industry, and as we're moving forward with our medical and our manufacturing going on in this community, I think it's going to be exciting to see it come back into fruition. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0336.
Resolution number 2011-0336, a resolution approving the Metro Health System's policies and procedures to participate in one or more group purchasing associations for the purpose of acquiring supplies, equipment, and services provided through joint purchasing arrangements in order to achieve beneficial purchasing arrangements for the year 2012. In accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 339.05, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Mr. Jones. Is there any discussion?
Madam President,
Mr. Miller?
I would like my name added as a co-sponsor.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Miller's name, please. Mr. Jametta? Ms. Conwell? All right, is there any other discussion on this matter?
Madam President, this resolution, it does approve the Metro Health System. It allows them to participate in a purchasing association to make group purchases. So other hospitals, the Cleveland Clinic, the university hospitals, there's a collaborative effort to purchase in volume. So it's another example of collaboration. It's a very good thing, and I encourage my colleagues to support this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jones. Anything further? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0337.
Madam Chair, prior to reading this resolution into the record, the date of December 31st, 2012 will be read into the record as December 13th, 2012, to correct it. So resolution number 2011-0337, a resolution authorizing an agreement with the Metro Health System in the amount not to exceed $1,550,000 for medical, psychiatric, dental, and pharmacy services for the period December 14th, 2011 through December 13th, 2012. Authorizing the county executive to execute the agreement and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective. Additionally, Councilman Gallagher has requested to be added as a sponsor to this resolution.
Motion
So moved. Second.
by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Mr. Brady. Mr. Gallagher, did you want to be heard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd really like to thank, this has been a long road, and we were new council coming in, and we kind of saw something that we thought maybe we could make a difference and have some collaboration within the county, within county organizations. This was at times a bit difficult, but things got smoothed out. I'd like to thank my committee, Ms. Simon and Mr. Greenspan. I really appreciate all your help on this. Mr. Fitzgerald, your team, Mr. Colon, and Ms. Proper. I certainly appreciate all that you've done and most of the legwork that you did do, and in particular the sheriff. Without his leadership in this this certainly would not have gotten done. And finally, Mr. Moran at Metro, we greatly appreciate him and his team for coming together with the sheriff, putting this together. And in the end, as the executive said, hopefully down the road, this will save us some money, and the new relationships that we have bonded right here and now will go forward in the future, and future councils will have the opportunity to do much more of the same of what we've done. And I greatly appreciate everybody that's helped in this, and it certainly couldn't have been done without each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Ms. Simon?
Madam President, I wanted to thank the Safety Chair, Councilman Gallagher, for his persistence and tenacity in seeing this through. I appreciate that. I remember the first Safety Committee meeting, beginning of this year. It seemed almost impossible at times for this to happen, so I give you credit for your leadership. And I think this is certainly a precedent-setting resolution, and hope we can continue in the future with this. And I'd like to be added, my name.
Madam Chairperson,
Yes, Mr. Brady?
I'd also like to commend the Councilman Gallagher and the administration for this good work, and I'd like my name added to the.
I said add Ms. Simon, Mr. Brady. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0338.
Resolution number 2011-0338, a resolution amending BOCC Resolution number 014247 dated November 6, 2001, which authorized an amendment to contract number CE 11084 with Mount Pleasant Now Development Corporation for lease of office space for use by the Cuyahoga Health and Nutrition and Cuyahoga Work and Training Agencies and the Department of Children and Family Services for additional funds in the amount of $700,000 by changing the time period from October 1, 2000 through September 30, 2010 to October 1, 2000 through November 30, 2011, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Schrein and seconded by Mr. Jones. I'd like to thank the administration and ask that my name be added to this item. This is in my district, and I'd like to thank the administration for your cooperation in this matter. This is a very, very key location on Kinsman Avenue, and it really is the hub of a lot of development in that area, so it's very important that we maintain services there. Also, it's also very convenient for residents of that area, so on behalf of my district, I'd like to thank the administration. And Ms. Conwell, like to be added, Mr. Jones?
My name should be on it
All right.
already, and
I'd say yes, Mr. Jones.
I'd like to echo those comments. Although it physically sits in Council President's district, the residents that I represent are right across the street. It's a vital service to the community. As we have worked to make this government more efficient, we also have to balance the effectiveness also, that the things that we do are effective. And I commend the administration on amending this lease and finding that balance between effectiveness and efficiency.
Madam
Thank-
President?
Yes, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Just briefly, I want to thank you for your advocacy on this. I know you were out there at the center and were a persistent advocate for it. I got an education about the importance of that building within the Mount Pleasant Now efforts and also the Mount Pleasant community. This is an example of how you can do the right thing. It can help a community and you can save money at the same time, because we negotiated a better deal for the taxpayers. We consolidated some of the employees that we had from other departments and brought them in there. Something else happened too when we had the conversation with the folks from Mount Pleasant, and that is they let us know the way that county building fit into their community development plan. They shared their community development economic plan with us. One of the questions I asked them was, had you ever had a dialogue before with the County Department of Development about your economic development plan that you've had for that neighborhood and how it fits in with what we're trying to do? And those conversations had never happened. That conversation, as Mr. Kelly can tell you, that led to us convening all the community development corporations across the county to start sharing that information with us. So it was just really it was a really good example of us cooperating in a way that has had some very good spin-off benefits. Early next year, I'm going to be presenting to council some of the results of this space study that we have been doing with the physical space, all the buildings that we've had. This was kind of a precursor to that because the issues had to be resolved now. But we're going to be looking at those same principles. How do we consolidate the number of buildings we have? How do we provide modern and efficient working spaces for our workers, but also in a way that fits in with the communities where they work. So hopefully this is an example of how it can be done, and we'll try to extend it across the whole system next year. But thank you for your assistance in it.
All right, thank you. All right, we need to call for a vote on this. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0339.
Resolution number 2011-0339, a resolution authorizing an amendment to contract number CE 11084 with Mount Pleasant Now Development Corporation for lease of office space for use by the Division of Employment and Family Services, Cuyahoga Support Enforcement Agency, Division of Children and Family Services, and Division of Senior and Adult Services for the period October 1, 2000 through November 30, 2011, to extend the time period to November 30, 2014, and for additional funds in the amount of $1,544,359.60, authorizing the county executive to execute the amendment and all other documents consistent with this resolution, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Moved by Mr. Rogers and seconded by Ms. Simon. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
President, can you add my name to this one?
Rogers' name, please. Add my name also. And Ms. Conwell and Mr. Jones. I think Mr. Jones is already on there. All right, all those, yeah, okay, all right. Resolution's adopted. All right. Consider item 11, monumental moment here. Consideration of a resolution for third reading adoption. Item 0291.
Resolution number 2011-0291, a resolution adopting the 2012-2013 biennial operating budget and capital improvements program, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Mr. Miller.
Madam President, I would move the acceptance of a substitute version of this resolution.
Second?
All right, so moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Conwell for a substitute version. Mr. Miller.
Madam President and my colleagues, the substitute version contains only 3 changes. One is a correction which includes an item for the internal service charges for the Inspector General that actually was approved among our technical changes on November 28th, but was inadvertently not included in the previously accepted substitute version. And for the 2 other items that are new, I would ask the Director of Budget and Management, Mr. Rubino, to please come forward and explain those 2 items.
About that. Good evening, Madam President, members of council. Matt Rubino, Office of Budget and Management. We have presented 2 technical amendments for this final version of the biennial budget. The first of which is a reduction in appropriation for one of the workers' compensation retrospective funds. We keep up to 10 years of balance in those funds to pay potential claims, and after a final analysis, we were able to reduce the 10th year fund by $944,000 for 2012 and a slightly higher amount for 2013. The second technical change is related to the garage fund. We incorporated appropriation for the garage's share of debt service for both 2012 and 2013. We use garage funds to offset the county's debt service payments on a pro rata basis for any projects that were financed with county debt. So we also incorporated that additional item in this final version.
All right, this is a motion on the floor to adopt the substitute, the substitute version. Any other discussion on that? All right, all those in favor of adopting the substitute resolution indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We will now proceed on the substitute version of the budget.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would like to move an amendment to the substitute version, and it's the one on the single page that you have in front of you. It adds section 3, which reads, "The county executive may defer until July 1st, 2012, spending money appropriated for personal services in the Department of Children and Family Services and the Department of Employment and Family Services that is above the amounts requested in the executive's recommended budget, which was issued on October 14, 2011.
Second.
The Executive Fitzgerald has requested flexibility to see what savings, efficiencies, and reorganizations he can achieve over the next 6 months, and then we would take a look at the need in these two departments. The appropriation authority would remain there if needed, but the flexibility is given, and the executive has indicated that he would approve the appropriation level. The council incorporated if this language is included.
All right, Mr. Brady?
Just want to indicate my support for this amendment.
All right, any other discussion on the amendment? All right, all those in favor of adopting the amendment indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is so amended. Now,
Madam President.
Mr. Miller.
Madam President, and my colleagues, we come to the third reading of the proposed first two-year budget for Cuyahoga County. I would like to again thank Executive Fitzgerald, all the directors, and particularly Director Wade Steen and Matt Rubino, and all the staff in budget and management, all of my colleagues and our council staff for all of your help in preparing our new county government's first budget. We conducted a 2-month deliberative process and discussed alternatives in open session. Along with the executive, we dealt with serious financial issues. Our state revenue is declining by $40 million a year over 2 years, and we are projecting a 5% decline in property tax revenue or more. Our general fund budget is balanced on operations, but we require some draw on human services reserves. Incorporating Councilman Dave Greenspan's amendments, we set a reserve policy of 25% of annual expenditures for the general fund and 15% for health and human services for the next 2 years. The revised budget schedules from OBM project that our general fund reserve will remain above 33% through 2014, a year beyond this budget, and our human services reserve will remain above 15% over that time frame. The budget reflects the executive's initiatives, the Economic Development Fund, the Scholarship Program, and the Community Policing Initiative, and council initiatives such as the Reentry Entrepreneurship Program and the Disparity Study led by Purnell Jones and the Consumer Affairs Office led by Councilman Brady. This budget also reserves funding to upgrade our information technology systems to save on operating costs, which is one of the most important opportunities afforded to us by the new government structure. The council provided for some increases in funding above what the executive requested. We did so very cautiously and primarily for the most basic human services: mental health and addiction, early childhood health and education, child protection, employment and family services, homelessness, and reentry. Councilman Brady's work throughout the year as chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee has been instrumental in identifying the most urgent needs that we must address. These are very difficult times for the most needy in our community, and we must compassionately do as much as we can prudently to help. We need passage of the Health and Human Services Renewal Levy next spring to provide the basic human services anticipated in this budget. Even though we will lose revenue due to lower appraisals, That levy does not raise the tax rate. It only renews the existing 4.8 mills for 4 years, and I ask all Cuyahoga County residents to please vote for it. This budget closely tracks the executive's proposal. It is different by less than 0.2% on the total spend, a difference of $30 on the price of a $20,000 car. We responded to administration concerns, changing our budget to accept the executive's approaches to pay equity, consumer affairs, and the disparity study. As expected, there were also differences within the council on individual items. However, the package is worthy of support. This budget is both compassionate and responsible. I humbly ask my colleagues and Executive Fitzgerald to enact this budget for Cuyahoga County for the next 2 years.
Second?
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? Mr. Germano.
To congratulate Councilman Miller on his leadership. This is something that we really could be proud of. We'll be the first county that has a biannual budget that mirrors the state biannual budget. And it was a long process, but I think it was very worthwhile. I thought it was very organized. It's something that we all could be proud of. So I'm definitely in support and congratulate Mr. Miller.
Mr. Greenspan?
Thank you, Madam President. A year ago, if someone was to ask me when I thought there would be divisiveness among council, I would have laid money, would have lost that bet.
Would you
That-
bet $10,000?
My guy's out, so I'll bet $10,000. That we would have been divisive during this process. And I must tell you, Columbus and Washington should use us as an example of how to work through issues. Because although we are elected in a bipartisan fashion, we definitely don't act that way. We disagree philosophically on issues, but we work through those issues and still respect one another at the end of the day. You know, this is a council that is very good at giving credit and doesn't take credit. And I will tell you, Councilman Schron for bringing forward the 2-year cycle, Councilmember Miller for clearly taking the leadership in this process. When he originally laid out the schedule, boy, we weren't sure what we were getting into, but the 50-plus hours clearly were needed to go through this process and to understand the process and how it works and how it will work. One of the big wins for us, I think, in looking at this budget is the fact that we were able to collectively come together and support a reserve balance to ensure some fiscal responsibility as we look forward down the road. And there'll be ordinances coming forward to support that. We'll also be very mindful of some of the conditions that are facing our state and facing our nation economically that will have an impact or may have an impact on our budget. But I would say, all in all, this has been a very solid council to work with and going through some of these issues. And I don't know if any of my colleagues felt that this would be the issue, but if there was ever going to be an issue in working through this budget, we clearly have come through the other end, I believe, stronger than we did 50-plus hours ago. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Schron?
My congratulations also to Councilman Miller for leading the challenge on this. And I think that the cooperation with the County Executive's Office is evidenced even by the amendment that we just are adopting this evening to amend this, as opposed to trying to find pieces and parts to pick away. There was even found as a common ground to extend it, to not necessarily take action that caused a line in the sand to take place between differences of opinion, but to extend that to a further period of time. And my congratulations of working together, not only with the council, but with the county executive to bring this forward. And I think that the benefit will be for everybody in this county as far as conciliatory working process. My congratulations. Thank you very much.
Ms. Simon?
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to thank Chairman Miller for his work and all my colleagues. And as I stated previously, this new charter government was set up as a beacon, a new way to do business in the county. But I think this is an example of something more than that. I mean, it's a historical opportunity for not only bipartisanship, but also to have a budget that includes a piece of all of us. And I think all of us had something important to add to this budget, and it was really a pleasure to be able to incorporate every one of you, as well as the executive, and this is remarkable. And again, it's a historical day. I think every step we take is another step to history and setting a precedent for this new government. So I'm proud to be here and working with my colleagues of all political persuasions and personalities, and this is a good day. So thank you, everybody.
Mr. Brady?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Early discussion with Councilman Miller about the budget, he indicated to me that he hoped to have a unanimous vote for the budget, and I thought he must be kidding. But I want to commend the councilman whom I've known for a very long time, and I think that the county council, the county government, and Cuyahoga County in general really is fortunate to have someone with the experience to have helped lead this council through this 2-month process. And I've been very impressed with the ability of all the council members to engage this process. I also want to thank the county executive for being receptive to the issues that have been brought forward by the council. And I'm more than satisfied with what I believe is a successful first biennial budget for the new county government.
All right, because of the historic nature of this vote, I'd like the clerk to call the roll.
Calling the roll as adopting this resolution as substituted and amended, with a first by Mr. Miller and a second by Mr. Schron. Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Mr. Schron?
Yes.
Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Ms. Simon? Ms. Conley?
Yes.
It's approved unanimously.
This is in fact a historic moment here in Cuyahoga County of having passed this biennial budget unanimously. And so to celebrate, please join us after the meeting for a cake, courtesy of Mr. Miller and I. And then we want to give a plug and a shout out to Constantino's Market that prepared the cake and is a local downtown market. And will be available as soon as the meeting's over.
Madam President?
Yes.
I'd like to have my name added as a sponsor of the resolution.
Is that a resolution?
Me too.
Okay,
Well,
We all do.
we're all on it.
We'll add everyone, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Item 12. Consideration of an ordinance for third reading adoption.
Ordinance number 2011-0054, an ordinance approving the revised Cuyahoga County Small Business Enterprise Program Policies and Procedures Manual effective January 1, 2012, and declaring the necessity that this ordinance become immediately effective.
Move to adopt.
Moved by Mr. Jones and seconded by Ms. Conwell. Is there any discussion on this?
Madam President, this ordinance is a revision of the Business Enterprises Manual, and the purpose of it is obviously to incorporate current best practices and the new county government, its structure itself. So it's a good thing to revise it, keep it current, and I encourage my colleagues to support this.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Any miscellaneous committee reports? You want to just start down the line, or
Wherever we want to go.
go this way?
Okay.
right.
We'll start going. There will be a committee meeting of the Economic Development Committee to discuss the $100 million fund. And in the spirit of food actually brings out good response, I will be participating by bringing pizza for everyone. That's the good news that'll be there. The bad news, it'll be at 6:30 in the evening to provide the first opportunity, having this conversation with Mr. Miller about the value of the community participating in the opportunities to hear this historic also piece of legislation. Whether anybody shows up, it's not the question. It's
The date, Mr. Shrine?
the 19th. It's, I'm sorry about that, yeah, it's the 19th of December, yes.
The 19th of December is like in the week before Christmas.
No, it's actually, yeah, it's a full, yeah, it's the Monday before. The intent is to keep moving with this piece of legislation also to support the county executive. If you recall at the last meeting, or if you also recall the AmTrust, there is at least a wink that we've committed funds that are going to go in that direction. So we need to at least keep this legislation going forward. Having discussions with 3 or 4 of my colleagues, the idea of at least one evening for a historic nature of this to allow businesses, public parts of the community, anyone who would like to at least come forward. I know we're going to hear the salient points from Mr. Kelly telling us how the administration of the fund will work and how its all steps will come forward. So it'll be, I think, a great evening in that. It'll be the Monday evening at 6:30. From 5 o'clock, there'll be pizza for anybody that's out there, both vegetarian and meat-based. So.
Thank you, Mr. Shrine. You should before Christmas.
Councilman Shrine, please forgive some of us that will be on vacation and can't attend. It is a good economic plan, and I am interested in it. Just please forgive me. Miscellaneous business for my committee will be this Thursday at 10 o'clock, Human Resources Appointments and Equity, and we will have a presentation by the Wellness IQ Inc. that was just added on the thing tonight.
Mr. Jones?
President, the Public Works Committee will not meet this Thursday, so we will not have a committee meeting until next year.
And thank you.
Environment and Sustainability will not meet this Friday.
Thank you.
Madam President, Justice Affairs will not meet until next month, and wanted to confirm the 0042 ordinance would be referred back to committee to Justice.
Right, I had that on the agenda, so I can go ahead and do that now. Item 011-0042 referred back to the Justice Affairs Committee. You'll have your next hearing in...
Meeting with Human Resource on Friday the 13th of January.
Okay.
And we'll be updating the Juvenile Justice Center, any issues or quirks that are going on that need to be addressed as well.
Okay. Anything, any other committee? Mr. Brady?
Health and Human Services will meet on January the 5th, Thursday at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Any other miscellaneous? We can't have without you giving some.
I appreciate that. Ethics will meet on January 10th at 1 o'clock, at which time we'll review campaign finance, among other items that are in committee.
All right, is there any other miscellaneous business? Is there any public comment unrelated to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in to speak.
On behalf of the entire county council, I'd like to wish everyone, every citizen of Cuyahoga County and everyone, visitors, and everyone, Happy New Year and best wishes for the holiday season. This is our last meeting for 2011, and there being no further business before this council, we will stand adjourned and hope everyone stays and enjoys a piece of cake with us. Meeting will be January the 10th at 5 p.m. January 10th at 5 p.m. here in Cuyahoga County Council Chambers.